Good. Cool. All right, we got head coach Marc Rardin ahead of this weekend NCAA Oxford Regional. Coach, if you just want to open up with an opening statement, and we'll jump into questions.
All right. It goes, I guess, without saying, but I mean the excitement that we have, the anticipation that we'll start building here, and just getting down there, and it's really not just the experience but our kids are, focused on performance. I think there's a big difference as a coach, and even as a dad, with two sons, you want kids to appreciate and definitely enjoy stuff, but you also want them to have the focus of performance. Be where your feet are. You want them to perform well. That doesn't mean wins or anything of that. That's out of the control sometimes. It's about just you want them to have a good experience. You want them to have great memories, and performance goes with that a lot. So the excitement's there, the appreciation of it all. Our guys believe that they've earned this, and I believe that they've earned it as well. So we're ready to get down there and see what we got and show some people what we got.
You're only your third year here. When we first started here, Western was projected, at the bottom of the conference standings, and now, every year you've gone up and up and up, and finally, get that conference championship. What does that, say about, not even just you and your staff, but the program being able to come up the way it has?
I just think it starts with obviously Todd Stewart and our administration, and you see our new facilities literally being built while we're on the field doing what we're doing, which is really cool. I always use the word combustion, like a positive combustion of what's happening right in front of all of our eyes. With our coaching staff and the players that we brought in up to this point, what we've done on the field, what's literally going on just a couple feet off the field with the facility, and just where this place is going in a short time, and I don't say it's surprising to me, but I believed from day one that we were going to make positive steps forward. And sometimes it being as fast as it's been is out of your control. Sometimes things just line up when you've got the right kids and you put them in the right spots and the right coaching staff. And, I always talk about culture and system. I believe I have a system within our organization, and we believe in a culture, and I know every coach does. That's one of those words that gets thrown around, but my culture has been a culture we've had for now 23 years of my head coaching career, 20 at my last place and 3 years here. And the culture I have, I believe in, and the system of which we perform daily, I believe in, and that's part of getting us to where we're at. But, it comes down to players, it comes down to your administration, and then me and my staff are in the middle somewhere trying to take advantage of both, and that's kind of where we're at.
Can you just reflect on just this past week with the conference USA tournament, obviously the comebacks, the walk-offs, just what that experience was like, and had it been a couple days to let it sink in for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not how you're wanting to win every game, but I guess I probably overused the word resilient, resiliency of the team. But we've kind of been there all year. That's kind of who we've been all year, and it doesn't mean a walk-off, but I meant just different pitchers starting on the weekends all the time. We never really had always a true set, like who's it going to be this week, and lineup. I've probably had, Jack will be able to, I've had different lineups virtually every game all season. We just weren't set with 9 and being able to move around. Kids got to be able to be handling that. Kids got to be ready to understand that and deal with it. And I think in turn, now you look at one weekend at Conference USA and down early and come back, and I think that's the toughness of a pitching staff to finally buckle down and stop the bleeding, especially early on like it was in a couple of those games. You look at you look at the semifinals where Morris comes back in and he exploded on Thursday, and that was the worst he'd been. I mean, he'd been lights out the entire year, and Thursday wasn't his day out of the pen. And all of a sudden, he's back in on Saturday, and he goes 3 1/3, and we end up, winning the game. I think that's one of many examples of just who our team is, and so those seasons that line up for so many sports, for so many athletic teams, and we all talk about the it factor. That's, you don't know exactly what the it is on the team, but it has it. To go 46-12, isn't that what we are? Yeah, 46-12. You have to have an it factor somewhere in that locker room, and I think that's what we got throughout this roster.
Coach, you've got guys who've been here under you at Western for multiple years, like Cal Higgins, Dawson Hall, and those guys are now at the top of the order as far as production. What about your staff allowed them to develop at such a high level to where they're producing at such a high level now?
Well, I mean, if you're going to talk about pitchers, you're talking about Dylan Napoleon, our pitching coach, just one of the best young minds of pitching, just great person. The pitching staff just gravitates towards him. They love him. They can go to him. They can go to him about anything about in their life. Just the comfortable and confidence that he gives them. And that's all great, but he still develops as well, whether it's their mechanics, their pitching, their whether they're learning a cutter or they're learning a different changeup or whatever they're doing. It's more than that with Coach Knapp. So on the pitching side, that's what it is. Position player wise, there's no one more positive out there than Rob Fournier, Coach Fournier, with the hitters, just tireless. Will throw more BP and work in more cages with them or on the field. He has more talks with hitters in his office, just how their day's going, how their life's going, talks hitting, tries to get them in a good place. He always talks about green lights with them and just, the upbeat side. I mean, you got to surround yourself with the right people. And when you got Knapp and Forney and Herbst and Francis, I have a great staff. I've always told people I've been fortunate to do 2 things well. I married the right person, and I've been able to hire well. And it starts with those people, and then it gravitates down to the roster. And if you don't have the right people, then the wrong thing's going to go down to the roster. And, fortunately, we have the right people. And so you're talking about the Higgins, you're talking about Dawson. Cole Heath has had an injury. We took him on the trip because he's deserving of it. So he was not in uniform, but on that trip, and he will be for the regional as well, because he's been here when it wasn't the best, and now he's part of something that he couldn't ever imagine, which is a tremendous feeling for me, because he's deserving of it. So that's part of our culture with that stuff.
After the game, the championship, on the broadcast, Western's a little bit underappreciated in the baseball world. Even Conference USA in general, top 5 RPI year, just to be a two-bit league, and that is because Dallas after the lost early. A lot of projections had the Conference USA only as one bit.
Yep.
Talk about how competitive this league is, and how great that it is that you do have some teams now.
Yeah. I mean, some of what I was saying, I wasn't necessarily disagreeing even with what I was saying I mean, we are who we are right now. We're trying to change the landscape of WKU baseball, reputation, things like that. I put us into some of the situation we were in because our early strength of schedule wasn't, the highest, okay? But when I got here, what I was trying to do schedule-wise was just get a culture going of learning and knowing how to win and giving us a chance to win. So I could have came in here and just said, we got a chance to schedule these SECs early on. We'll go down to their place. But if you never learn how to win, but yet you go to these great places, great experience until you could just get your brains beat in, I didn't think that was going to do anything. So I took a different avenue. I told Todd Stewart what my plan was, and he believed in it and believed in me with it. So that's what we were doing. Now, we get to this third year, and we have one of those schedules early on. And we started off with Illinois State, who was picked to be higher up in the Missouri Valley. We had Southern Illinois here on a midweek, which they're always towards the top of the Missouri Valley. And we ruled them, beat Illinois State twice. Just going through the schedule early on, and all of a sudden we're 20-1. Now I put ourselves in a situation. The first 2 years, every Tuesday, everybody kind of learned around here that was, I wouldn't say it was a giveaway game, but we threw all of our young guys, and we just kind of wore it a little bit on Tuesdays at times. But now all of a sudden we got to the situation where we're needing to compete, and we went at those Tuesdays a little bit different with our focus. So we just kept being in the position to win. So we in turn had to change, a week schedule, but we're going to win all those games in a weaker schedule, which we did for the most part, and then knocked off Kentucky at our place. Vanderbilt, I messed that one up. Still today, I'll tell you that. And we lose in extra innings to them. I think it was 4-3 or 3-2, something like that. I said that we weren't getting the respect, but I also put us in that situation with the schedule. But when you just turn around and you do win, there's one thing about having a bad schedule, but there's another thing, or not a strong schedule. But then there's another thing when you go 46-12 and you beat DBU twice at their place and things of that nature, to where I think the tides can be turned really quick when you do that, especially if you're a mid-major. And I couldn't really worry about it. I really like I said, I stumbled into where we're at with just how we started the season, and all of a sudden we were winning so much. Fortunately, our kids just kept taking care of what they needed to. And honestly, I never talked about it, but our kids knew that they needed to win on Sunday. Let's just take it out of anybody's. I do not think we get in at all if we don't win that game. I mean, if Jack State wins it, they're in, and DBU's in, and we were going to be sitting at home at 45-13. And that's what it is. So I'm living and learning, and continue to try to adapt as our program does and improves. And we'll make sure that we try to make it a little bit better in the future and be a little bit more solid in the argument. If we're not happen to be going 46-12, but we're still up there somewhere, I'm going to try to make sure that we're a little bit more solid in the argument.
Just want to get your impressions of this 4-team group that you're in, and quick scouting report on Georgia Tech.
They can hit. I mean, and they're going to be at Ole Miss, which is a hitter's ballpark, and I know that they were over 300 batting average. I think 305 in the ACC.
I saw you guys were tied at 315 on the NCAA stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around there. Yep. So, and they got 80-some home runs as well. So, and then they've got, I want to say they got like 80-some stolen bases out of only like 90-some attempts. So, whether it's they're really good at picking when they run, or they can run a little bit. I think it's a little bit of both, but they've been known as being offensive, and being at the Ole Miss ballpark, which is a little bit notorious shorter park for balls to leave in. That's probably not the best combo for us, but it's something that we have to really go out, and it's hard to do, but you just got to get your guys to play the game and not the uniform. The game is still the game, and they get caught playing a uniform or get caught playing in a venue, and kids forget about the game, and you just need to play the game, whatever the venue is and whatever the team is you're playing. And if we can just be us and do our thing, then we can compete. And honestly, all I want to do is compete. Because if we, people are like, what are you talking about? Don't you want to win? I'm like, well, you have to compete to win. I don't get the cart ahead of the horse and saying that, man, we're going in there to win. Well, no kidding. We're going to try to win. But you don't do that without competing. And to compete, as I can keep reverting back to, if you're going to compete, you got to be who you are and do what you do to get to this point. And obviously the respect and excitement we have to play an ACC team like Georgia Tech. Coach Hall's last year, he's retiring, so they're wanting to, I'm sure, put him out, to let him go on a high note. I think Georgia Tech felt like they needed to be home hosting. So, I don't know if there's disappointment or a little bit of redemption that they're wanting to have going in somewhere else and doing the job, but we're first up with them. So Ole Miss, again, offensive. They're hot right now. Lost in the championship, the SEC, to Vanderbilt, who's probably the hottest team right now in the country, finishing the regular season. So, and they're at home. So tremendous atmosphere. I don't want it to happen against us, but I want to be in the ballpark when Ole Miss is playing and they hit a home run and everybody's throwing the beers up out in the outfield. I want to see that personally, so I've never seen that. I know the coaching staff for Ole Miss really well. I've had players play there, and I know those guys really well, so I'm excited to see them. Actually, Clement, Coach Clement is from Iowa as well. I got Iowa guys everywhere, so he's from Marshalltown. I've known him for years. Carl Lafferty, the other assistant, I've known those guys for years. Like I said, they've had my players there when I was at my junior college. So, but I've never been there personally, so I was excited to see the atmosphere and what's going on. And then, of course, Murray State, who I think is dangerous. I think they pitch enough, but they rely on their hitting, and they have incredible toughness. They don't have the best of anything, but that doesn't matter to them, and I can really, really respect that. Dan does a great job with them, and they love each other, and they play hard. I wouldn't say I don't know if they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they're confident and they know who they are, and they go out there and they play, and they're really offensive. They will not stop. I've been watching them since we played them early on in the season. I've kept track of them and watched them from afar and admire. I just admire how Dan does it. It's not the easiest place baseball-wise to get kids, to coach, to win, in today's world, and he does it. And so as a coach, I can really respect that, and I think that they can give Ole Miss, if Ole Miss pitches off like they tend, like a 1 seed will, right, to a 4 seed, and they're going to try to throw their Tuesday guy or whatever. And again, I'm not sure with all the pitching that Murray has, but they go down there and they throw their number 1, and he does well, and they hit a little bit like I know that they can hit and have watched how they can hit. They could make it interesting on day 1. So I think Ole Miss has to watch that. They got to be careful of that.
Do you know Marc?
I do know Mike. Yep. Yeah, just my players being down there, some different ABCA committees that we've been on, the American Baseball Coaches Association, just different stuff like that. Great guy, great family guy. He's been there a long time, and there's a reason why, just for everything he's done. But I don't know him like I do Mike and Carl, the two assistants.
Coach, yesterday you guys were talking about how this has been a revenge tour over the past weekend. You beat the teams that beat you in the regular season.
Yeah.
State, and the others. And then now you get to face Murray State, who beat you guys earlier in the year. Last time the school was in the regional, they lost to Ole Miss, so that's kind of in the back of your head. And Georgia Tech's just kind of in there. But as a revenge tour, how are you on that?
I'm not in. I mean, it's baseball. It's crazy, right? Just stuff, just kind of how it goes around. If you ask, baseball is crazy, because if you ask Servo how many times he was up this entire weekend at like big moments, like, holy cow, Joe's up again, because he's popping up or rolling over, and then of course gets a hit and hits the home run and stuff like that. So just the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations of teams playing teams, and when it happened and what happened before. And I just think it's baseball. That's what's great about the game, is whether it's what's happening within a game, or like you said, what's happening in a season with, ironically, the three teams that were the only ones to beat us in the regular season. We happened to knock every one of them out of the tournament. I mean, there's a cool story about that. I don't know if our players need to be throwing a slang word to that, a little term to it. But if that's the way they thought of it, that's the way they thought of it. In this tournament, I don't know if we ever play Murray State. Who knows what goes on in this, We lose our first game and Murray beats freaking Ole Miss. We ain't playing Murray yet, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Georgia Tech, and I'm worried about us, like I said, being in our skin and competing.
So do you go in with a set rotation based on 4 games? Are you looking at individual matchups? How do you decide who starts?
Yeah.
If you want to tell me who that's going to be, fine.
Yeah. I will tell you. And if you want to tell me. Right now, I have not. I actually just was in a meeting for about 30 minutes with Knapp about just some things, but we actually hadn't even named someone yet. Great chance it'll probably be Drew Whalen in game 1, but it's not set yet.
So that could be a little bit based on the matchups and the line.
Without a doubt. So this is, and we'll talk about this real quick. This is my argument with 12 World Series at a junior college, and getting a chance to win some national championships, being in these postseason tournaments, Conference USA, regional stuff. You're trying to win the tournament. And then, of course, everybody's quick argument is, well, you have to win this game to win the tournament. Well, yes, but all of a sudden you can win a game, and then you're like, we got no shot here in the next 2 games. Like we're out of ammo or whatever. So there's things that have to happen. Offense needs to happen, defense needs to happen, and pitching needs to happen, obviously. So you go into it with whoever you're thinking you need to start, and then what's going on the next 2 games. And then it even goes to who you're going to throw out of the bullpen, what the score is at that time. Are we in the game? Are we just trying to salvage right now? We've done it throughout the year, and all of a sudden we have a guy warming up, and we're down 3, and all of a sudden we got second and third with 2 outs, and we're about ready to tie it because we've already scored 1 run. So now all of a sudden we're just another base hit away. Now these 2 guys scored. Now we got somebody else coming in because it's a different game. So how you manage the games, for me in the postseason, is how you manage trying to win the tournament. And there's always the yin and the yang of, yeah, but you got to win this game. I get that, but you're also trying to win a tournament. Yes. Yep. So I think it'll be Drew, but I'm not sitting here stamping it right now and saying it is Whalen. And like I said, Knapp and I were talking about, we got guys throwing live this morning. We're getting ready to go down there, and we got some arms that just need to see some hitters, and some hitters that need to see some live arms. And we'll throw live on the mound or on the field, and then we'll go into a practice, and we'll go from there.
Mark, along those same lines, is it your philosophy of using your bench as extensively as you do?
Using my what?
Your bench.
Yeah.
Does that go all the way back down to lofts and that sort of thing?
Oh, you mean like when I change the lineup and?
Well, like pinch hitting.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot. Yeah, we do a lot of different stuff. Yeah, I believe in that. I believe in that's big part of culture. I believe in that's big part of the system is, everybody's that link in the chain, as I've always said, and everybody has a use on the field or on the bench even to help you on the field. So, we try to keep everybody engaged, and everybody really knows a role in the dugout at this time of the year. And I always tell them it doesn't mean you even have to like it. If you're competitive sometimes, like you should be, you don't have to like it. You just need to understand it, and you need to be your role at that time. And I think that that's really where we are in our culture right now, and that's why we are who we are and where we're at right now.
Piggyback off what you asked earlier, Doc, big story going in terms of
Yeah.
Jack's going to be available.
Yeah.
He comes back. What's his status if he's fully healthy?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he's probably fully healthy for how athletic he really is, and fast twitch, and being able to move a little bit. I don't know if I'd say he's fully healthy, but he's good to go. He's fine. I think he proved that the other day, and in fact he could have gone out more, but that's not who we are. A lot of times with our starting pitching, it's kind of how many times, for me and Knapp, it's how many times their lineup has seen you before we start changing it. We've kind of have our system of knowing how to change things up and change looks for hitters as well. So sometimes it's not even up to Bennett, who was feeling good and doing well. It was time to start making moves and changing our looks for their hitters as well. So, but he's good to go.
Just talking about your culture a little bit too. Just going back to that. I mean, obviously it's something that you built over a couple of decades
Yep.
in Iowa, but it has to start somewhere. Do you have some influence on the way that you coach and the system that you built?
Oh man, I've always told people there's nobody that has stole more in baseball than Ricky Henderson and Marc Rardin. He has stole all the bases, and I've stole all the ideas. I'm a huge nerd. I have an ego to be able to drop my ego and ask people, like, how are you doing it? Why do you do it that way? I'm that guy that has never been afraid to pick up a phone, email, text, call, whatever it is, or just go up to somebody and ask them, like, how are you doing that? Or why are you doing it that way? And it doesn't mean that I like that or end up believing in it, but it's just the fact of just the ideas and being a student and wanting to better your program, wanting to better yourself. I think, I've always said coaches and parents are the two biggest hypocrites, and I'm both of them. And I'm a coach and a parent. And so when you really realize that, I became a better husband, a better father, and a better coach in all those aspects. And so I tell people I have an ego to be able to drop my ego and go and talk to people. My kids know that there's 24 hours in a day, and I talk way more about the 21 hours than I do the 3 hours on the field. The 3 hours on the field will take care of itself. They want to be there. It's baseball. That's why they're here. Other than academics, that's why they chose WKU and things like that. Well, that's great, but I think my job goes to 21 hours off the field with who you are as a person and as a teammate and as a son and as a boyfriend and a roommate and everything else. And so I think that that's my priority when I roll out of bed is we're going to win or lose a certain way. My guys are going to act a certain way, and stubborn than the world. They try to be more stubborn than baseball, and they try to be more stubborn than Marc Rardin. They're going to lose at all three. They have to learn how they need to adapt and how they need to change to be involved productively within those three things. So, I tell them, like, you can have your ideas, you can have your beliefs up to a point to where my job is to help them within their life at WKU and their life after WKU as a husband and a father and an employee, an employer, whatever it is. And that's where my culture has been for a really long time. And at Iowa Western, being up north and having the success we did on a national stage, it wasn't just about the X's and O's and the Jimmies and the Joes. It wasn't just about the coaching and the players. It was about the people. And until people are behind that curtain with me and our program and my staff at before it was Iowa Western and now at WKU, they don't understand. And I'm not the easiest guy. And I'm not the guy that's right all the time. And things that I've done is not right all the time. I'd be the first. I'm still growing. I'm a better person now than I was 3 years ago when I got here. And I'm better now than I was, in 2014 and 12 and 10 when I won national championships. When I won a national championship in 2010, I was a crazy dude. Like, I look back now, and I'm like, what the hell was I doing? Now back then, right, a whole different world with kids and what you could do and what was all right. And, hey, it's college, he's a coach and stuff like that. And I just think you just keep adapting. And it starts with how I roll out of bed. Everything is my fault. I've accepted that. If we lose, it's majority of it's probably because of me. How I got them ready, how I didn't get them ready, lineup, moves I make during the game. And I talk to the kids about this. I tell them, they win all the games. I lose them. I've lost us 12 games. They have won 46. That's the honest truth. That's how it is, and they get it. So, again, I don't try to be their friend in the culture of things. I don't try to be their friend. I want to, and I need to be here for them. And I'm a stepdad that's not trying to be their dad. I don't want to be their dad. I just need to try to help them continue to grow as young men. And when I've learned that and not worrying about the scoreboard, all of a sudden the scoreboard became more of our friend. You know what I mean? At the end. And so Joe hits the home run, and he comes through home plate. And he's so fired up. He's kind of got a football mentality a little bit. And he's so fired up, and he kind of gives a yell at their dugout. Not really bad, but still, I'm meeting him when he gets to the dugout. Like, I'm unleashing on him. I care less about the home run at the time. Like, you need to act better than that, And then there's a ball when Higgins is the next inning that falls between him and Weidman that Joe knows he should have had, and he didn't get to it. And who was the first guy to meet him at the other end of the dugout when he came in? It was me. And I said, you don't have focus. You got to be on to the next play. Like, that's a ball you need to have. I'm yelling at you about, not handling the successes very well, and now you're not out there handling what you need to, And I love Joe. We're here because of Joe, and a lot of other guys. But at that moment, it was Joe. And Servo was playing well. And guess what he does at the end? He gets the walk-off, the toughness. And here's Coach Rardin's on his tail, but yet he's going to be up there and be tough enough, and he gets the base hit up the middle. Like, that's just who we've been. That's who my teams have been. My teams have been thick-skinned. Like I said, they know I care for them. But, people talk about tough love. I just love tough, and that's just who we've been. And this team has grown in it, and my staff has done a great job with them. And, we're excited to see what happens this weekend.